of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail for old England.
Ahoy everyone! I'm Keith and thank you for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight we'll be traveling back to the year 1718 as we learn to set up and play Golden Age of Pirates 1718, designed by Joe Carter and published by Compass Games. In this video we're going to have a look at what's in the box, and then we'll create a pirate captain and begin a narrative-rich playthrough as we plow the seas of the Caribbean in search of prizes, plunder, fame, and fortune as we play Golden Age of Pirates 1718. This is a solitaire, tactical level, open-ended sandbox game, being part war game, part adventure game, and part RPG. As the captain of a pirate ship in the Caribbean during the year 1718, you will attempt to accumulate enough booty through illicit means in order to buy a king's pardon and retire from a life of piracy before time runs out. I have always been a fan of pirate games, and I'm always on the hunt for sandbox-style board games that allow me complete freedom of action while telling an exciting, narrative-rich story. And I am hoping that this game will fill that bill. As this is a dedicated solitaire board game, I'm already anticipating that the game will involve lots of dice rolls. So if you're a Euro-style gamer, this game will likely not be for you. We're going to begin by examining the components that come in the box. First up is a 23-page rule book with 20 pages of actual game rules. With this rule book, it'll teach us everything we need to know about the game basics, the game components. It includes a counter guide and a gameplay survival tips area, along with some designer's notes and a bibliography. Next up is a 39-page charts and tables book, and this is basically the heart of the game. The rule book tells us about the components and a mild amount of the procedural aspects of the game, but this is where, in this charts and tables booklet, all of the action is going to be resolved. The designer provides a very detailed table of contents. On page 3, it tells us a new game setup. When starting a new game, go to tables R1 for a long game and R2 for a short game. So that's where we're going to be starting. But basically, this booklet will provide all of the tables that we're going to need. And it's going to involve every aspect of pirate life, from purchasing and selling cargo, to upgrading our ships, to repairing wound damage to our captain and our specialty crew. Next up is a mounted 8.5 by 11 inch Caribbean map, and this is where most of the action in the game is going to be taking place. Each of the locations are denoted with different colors. As an example, we have the pirate haven of Nassau in green. That's located on the Isle of New Providence. This is where our pirate captain can repair or upgrade our ship, sell prize ships and their cargo, buy black powder, or pirate haven defense cannons. We can also take jobs from the pirate governor, recover from wounds in the hospital, and even gamble at the tavern. The yellow zones on the map represent open sea lanes that may be traversed or patrolled with our pirate ship when searching for merchant ships to attack. Orange town zones such as Cayman and Trinidad represent smaller port towns along the coast of the Caribbean. When entering an orange zone, our pirate ship may patrol off the coast for merchant ships, attack the harbor defenses and the town itself, or secretly land assassin or spy specialist crewmen. Then we have red towns, such as Havana, and Tortuga and Port Royal. Red zones represent large port towns along the coast of the Caribbean. When entering a red zone, our pirate ship can patrol off the coast for merchant ships, attack the harbor defenses and the town itself, or secretly land assassin or spy specialists. Note, we will have greater chances of encountering merchant ships and warships than it would when patrolling orange town zones. Red towns are usually better defended than orange towns and have more bank gold. And finally, we have light and dark blue locations. Light blue would be location B, dark blue would be location A as examples. These represent hidden coves along the shoreline and are only entered with our pirate ship when visiting our pirate havens or pirate stash, or when attempting to recover buried treasure. Light blue zones may only be entered by brigs, schooners, and sloops, shallow draft boats. Man-of-war and frigate ships may not enter the light blue zones. The designer has also included this extremely handy two-sided bookmark, and this is going to give us commonly used rules that we can use for a very quick reference. As an example, if we are at sea or heading out to sea, we would follow those steps. It gives us those reminders of what we need to do. If we're in Nassau, it tells us the things that we can do. We could debark, or we can choose any or all of the following actions before the day ends. So very handy. It's double-sided and gives us what happens in a blue zone, a haven location, pirate stash, treasure map location, or if in town. Next is a pad of game logs, and we can use these to record the board situation if we choose to quit playing the game and we want to return to it in the future. These are double-sided, and the pad gives us quite a few pages on there, so that'll last us pretty long. We can always photocopy a set for future use, but this is extremely handy, and this is going to allow us to save all of the pertinent information from our current game, and we can restart it in the future. The game includes 2 dry erase markers. Many of the components in the game are going to be laminated, and we're going to be able to write directly on the cards and on some of the playmats. Rather than having stacks of counters, we'll be able to write down the information directly on these items, and that was a huge draw for me when I found out that this game is centered more on the recording of things with dry erase markers rather than stacks and stacks of tokens. Now the game also comes with a stack of pirate cards, and this combined with our dry erase markers will allow us to record a lot of information right on these cards. These are all laminated cards, and we'll have no problem recording the information on these cards that are provided. In this case, we've got our pirate captain. His level, his number of XPs, his abilities at haggle, navigation, seamanship, swimming, swordsmanship, and tactics. Other cards include the ship types. We've got frigates, man-of-war, sloops, schooners, etc. So very, very nice set of cards that's going to help us in playing the game and recording the information quickly and easily. Here's a card for prize ships. This would tell us the class of the ship and the condition of its sails and hull. Next is 3 sheets of cardboard counters, and in total we'll have a total of 208 3/4-inch die-cut and pre-rounded counters. And I was pleasantly surprised when I opened the box and saw the beautiful artwork that is included with these tokens. Much better than what I would have anticipated. And I'll give you a shot of each of the 3 counter sheets. Also included are 16 playmats, of which 7 of them are laminated. It's easy to tell the laminated boards from the non-laminated. Obviously the laminated boards are very shiny, and that would allow us to write on those with the dry erase markers. In this case, we've got our battle board, and this is where we would have our pirate ship and either merchants or warships that we would be fighting against, along with our pirate haven defense cannons. We can purchase cannons to defend our pirate haven. Playmat number 3 is the Harbor Defense Cannons combat sheet. When we choose to attack a harbor is going to have several cannons between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 to 6 cannons defending it, and our pirate ship is going to have to defeat these cannons before we can gain entrance to the harbor. Sheet number 4 is our pirate ship display. We're going to be able to put our pirate ship card of the type of vessel that we are sailing in, and this is going to be used to record our level of our sails and hull damage. Sheet number 17 is our buried treasure display. When we get information about buried treasure with the treasure map, we're going to use this display to uncover the location of the buried treasure and our attempt to recover it. Display 16 is similar. This is the town map, and when we're on missions to either capture or assassinate the governor or one of the governor's family members, or to rob the bank, we're going to be resolving it using this town map. There's a lot more playmats included in the game, and we'll see those as we play through the game. This next sheet is our calendar. If we begin the long game, we're going to begin the game on January 1st, 1718. And we'll be using dry erase markers to tick off the dates. As we move on the map or conduct actions, we'll be ticking off several dates on the calendar. Now this game will last from January 1st, 1718 to December 31st, 1718. We have 1 year to accomplish our task, and that is to acquire enough gold to purchase a pardon from a governor and retire, hopefully, in luxury. Now you'll notice that in the month of January there are no special denotations on the calendar. But once we start entering into February, you'll see that there are colored boxes on days of that month. And at the top it tells us what functions must be performed on those days. All of the action in the game is going to be driven using 10-sided dice. The game comes with 5 white and 10 black D10s. And we'll be using these dice in different combinations. On some tables, it will require the rolling of a D100. Other tables will be a D10. Some will be D20. And always welcome is a liberal supply of baggies to store all of our tokens. Although not included in the game, I'm also going to be utilizing a notebook, which I'm going to use as a ship's log, and a calculator. That will speed up the play of the game immensely. And finally, the game came with this official clarifications and new optional rules sheet. Very little errata on the game. One oversight was on the map, and that was it's labeled as Charleston, and it should read Georgetown. And the Compass Games has provided an overlay that we can place on there if we choose to. I've chosen not to, but if you do want to modify your map, they do provide an overlay that we can use to place on the game board. And so that's it. That's everything that comes in the game box. And I am very pleased at this point with the quality of the components. Everything that is in this box is useful and actually well produced. Next, we're going to consult the setup rules as outlined on the reverse of the Charts and Tables booklet. I'm going to be setting up the game for the long game, so we're going to be using R1, and we'll follow these 9 steps to set up the game. So I'm going to take a little time and I'm going to punch out all my counters and sort them into some Plano boxes, and then we'll be back to begin the setup of the game. Alright, I've punched out all the counters and I've got them in a Plano box. So we're ready to begin, and we're going to start with section R, New Game Setup. Now I want to point out that in this game, the zeros on these D10s are 10, not 0. So now we're going to consult section R. It's on the reverse side of the Charts and Tables booklet. And that's New Game Setup. And we're going to be setting it up for the long game. In this game, the long game is actually the easier of the two. The short game would begin on July 1st and it would end on December 31st. In the long game, we're going to go from January 1st through December 31st. So it'll give us more time to accomplish our tasks. Now, this lists the total playing time to be 8 to 10 hours. So I think how we're going to handle this is I'm going to be playing through a few turns live. And then as the game proceeds, I'll be stopping the camera, playing out until something exciting happens in the game, and then we'll resume and we will start filming again. I think that's the procedure that I'm going to use. So step 1 says the long game begins January 1st and ends on December 31st at the latest. Next step is the pirate captain is going to start out with a sloop, not upgraded, docked in Nassau. Pirate crew consists of 2 main crew units of 40 men, no cargo, and starting gold of 5,000. So let's take care of that. So we're going to begin the game with a sloop docked in Nassau. So we will place our pirate sloop in Nassau. We'll place a shipped dock token on top to show that we are in the port of Nassau. So we'll set up our pirate ship display. We're going to begin with a sloop. And that is a shallow draft boat, meaning that we can venture into those light blue locations on the campaign map. We're going to begin with full sails. A sloop starts with 4 and a hull strength of 4 as well. On our cargo display, we're going to write in 5,000 gold. That is our starting total. So we've written in 5,000 doubloons in our gold stores. Now we're going to set up our pirate ship crew display. We have a captain. Currently he is in full health, so he has no health marker underneath him. We have no specialist crewmen at this time. Our main crew consists of 2 groups of 40 men total, and that's the sloop. So we set that marker on 2 for main crew. Our crew starts out with fanatical loyalty, and our captain infamy is 0, unknown. Our pirate captain is going to begin at level 0 with 0 experience points and 5 captain skill points. Player's choice up to a maximum of 5 points per captain skill. We must place at least 1 point in seamanship to captain the sloop. So that's what we've done. 0 level, 0 XP, and 1 seamanship. Now we have 4 more points that we can assign between these different captain abilities, and we'll go over those next. The first ability is Haggle. This skill gives your pirate captain more profit when selling prize ships and their cargo in Nassau. It also gives a discount when buying a new pirate ship or when repairing or upgrading a current one. Now, in order for us to gain any real advantage with Haggle, we need to move that skill up to 5. Next is Navigation. This skill lessens the chance of your pirate ship running aground and sinking during storms. Then we have Seamanship. This skill is required to command different classes of pirate ships, with larger ships requiring higher skill levels. It is also very important during ship combat, boarding, and evasion attempts. Then we have Swimming. This skill lessens the chance of your pirate captain drowning if his pirate ship runs aground and sinks. Next is swordsmanship. This skill helps during shipboarding combat, town combat, and pirate haven combat. And finally, we have tactics. This skill helps during town combat and pirate haven combat. So we have to assign 4 more points of skills to our captain. For my captain, I have decided to increase his seamanship to 2, give him 1 navigation, and 2 swordsmanship. Now, instead of creating our own captain, we could use some historical pirates that are in the game. People such as Edward Teach, that's Blackbeard, Anne Bonny, Mary Read, Stedbonnet, the gentleman pirate. But these are going to make the game a lot harder for us. These are meant for more for advanced players. So we're going to begin with our own pirate captain. Now, our pirate captain has yet to build a pirate haven. Therefore, all ship repairs must be made in Nassau for the time being until one is built. To build a pirate haven, we can select any light blue, which are the shallow draft ships locations, or dark blue zones on the map. We'll need 25 lumber units and 14 days to complete the pirate haven. 7 days if a carpenter is present. And we need to have at least 4 pirate crew units working on it each day. So those are the requirements for us to build a haven. Now, I've prepared a short video to explain the background of our pirate captain, and I'd like you to watch that now, and that will help to explain his motivations through this game. So let's watch that.
What shall we do with the drum? Sailor, what shall we do with the drum? Sailor, what shall we do with the drum? Sailor, early in the morning.
Elias Rathmore was born in 1681 in the Cornish port of Falmouth, the son of a shipwright whose reputation for meticulous craftsmanship was matched only by his stubborn sense of justice. From his father, young Elias inherited 2 things that would define his life: a reverence for honest dealing and a temper that burned white-hot at the scent of deceit. Rathmore first went to sea at 14 aboard the merchant brig St. Albans Mercy. He proved himself a capable navigator and a steady hand in a fight, but it was his unshakable fairness that earned him the respect of sailors twice his age. He was known to split winnings evenly, settle disputes calmly, and defend even the lowliest deckhand if he believed them wronged. But the world of trade was not kind to men who expected honor in return. In 1703, the ship's owners cheated the crew of their wages after a grueling voyage. Rathmore confronted them, alone, and was beaten nearly to death for his trouble. When he recovered, he swore he would never again serve men who hid daggers behind their smiles. In 1707, while serving aboard a privateer licensed against French shipping, Rathmore witnessed the betrayal that would shape his legend. The French captain, having struck his colors and offered terms, suddenly unleashed a hidden broadside that killed half the privateer's crew. Rathmore survived, but something in him hardened forever. From that day, he vowed 2 things: to honor any man who honored his word and to destroy any man who broke it. It was this ironclad code that earned him the moniker Ironbound, not for armor, but for the unbreakable boundaries of his principles. Rathmore turned pirate in 1710, not out of greed but out of fury at the hypocrisy of empires that condemned piracy while practicing their own forms of plunder. He captured his first ship, the 18-gun sloop Resolute, without firing a shot, simply by offering the crew a fairer life than the one they had. Under his command, the Resolute became known as a ship where prisoners who surrendered honorably were fed, treated, and released. Crews of deceivers, slavers, or oathbreakers were shown no mercy, and every man aboard had a voice in decisions and a share in the spoils. His reputation spread quickly. Merchants who flew honest colors often found their ships spared. Those who attempted tricks, false flags, hidden guns, forged manifests, were met with terrifying efficiency. Rathmore was not cruel for pleasure, but he was absolute in punishment. To this day, sailors say that if you treat a man fairly at sea, Rathmore's ghost will guide your ship through storms. But if you deceive another mariner, even in jest, the iron-bound captain will come for you in the night.
So now that we've investigated the background of Captain Elias Rathmore, we're ready to begin the game. It is January 1st, 1718. Our ship, the sloop Resolute, is docked in Nassau. Captain Rathmore is going into town in Nassau, and he's going to purchase some provisions for the ship. We're going to need some black powder, and he possibly might purchase some medicine. So let's head off to the markets in the town of Nassau and do some shopping. Now we begin the game with a sloop that has not been upgraded. Our cargo hold capacity is 40. That doesn't include any black powder or gold. Now we have the option to upgrade our sloop. By upgrading the sloop, it's going to cost us 1,000 gold, and it'll take 4 days to do so in Nassau. What that'll do though, it will decrease our cargo capacity from 40 down to 20. And in lieu of that cargo capacity, it does allow us to have a larger main crew size. Currently our crew is 2 crew units of 40 men. Well, if we upgrade the vessel, we'd be able to upgrade that to accommodate up to 4 sections of crew, 80 men. So we're going to go into town and we're going to do some ship business. We'll be consulting table B. Now we don't have 5 haggle skill points, so we will only be able to use the first columns. First step is going to be to purchase some black powder. Now our vessel can accommodate a total of 10 black powder units. And we see that from the maximum black powder capacity. The sloop is at 10, and that does not change if we have upgraded the vessel or not. So I'm going to begin by shopping and purchasing 10 units of black powder. Black powder will cost us $50, 50 gold per unit. So we'll be buying 10 of those, and that's going to be 500. So I'm going to place 10 units of black powder. That's going to cost us $500, 500 gold. And that reduces our gold supply down to 4,500. We're going to need that gold to pay our crew the first of every month. And I think also while we're in town, I'm going to purchase some medicine. Now in order to use the medicine, we need to have a surgeon on board. That's a specialty crew member. But he also needs to have the medicine available. So I think as a precaution, I'm going to purchase 1 unit of medicine. So we will mark that down. 1 unit of medicine. And that's going to cost us 1,000 gold. And we've adjusted our gold accordingly. We're down to 3,500 gold. So checking our actions in a day player aid for if in Nassau, it says we could debark from ship at the start of the day. We can choose any or all of the following actions before day ends with crew back on ship and ready to head out to sea. So checking out all of those actions, we've already undertaken the buy and sell cargo goods. And I think the other thing we're going to do is, knowing the nature of Captain Rathmore, he can't resist gambling at the tavern, so we're going to do that. So consulting table D2. Gambling. Pirate captain may only make 1 bet per day while in Nassau. $2,500 gold maximum per bet. We're going to roll a D10. And then the results will be as follows. 1 to 6, we're going to lose that amount. 7 to 10, we're going to win that bet. Modifiers would be +1 if we have a clay pipe in our possession. We don't. So let's see what we'll wager at the gaming tables. So I think the good captain is going to wager 250 doubloons, and we'll see if we have any luck in gambling at the tavern. The result is a 6, and we've lost it. So that's going to reduce our gold from 3,500 to 3,250. Now, other things that we can do in town include hiring pirate main crew. We're fully staffed right now. We've got 2 sections of crew of 40 men. That's the maximum that our non-upgraded sloop can handle. But if we wanted to hire additional crew, we could do so in town. Other things we could do are visit the pirate governor of Nassau. And we could check to see if he has any jobs available for us. Unfortunately, we have to have an infamy level of 4 or 5 in order to check for jobs. Currently, we have infamy 0. And so that is going to complete January 1st, 1718, and we mark that off the calendar. It is now Sunday, January 2nd, 1718, and we're ready to head out to sea. Now we're going to have to decide on what course of action we're going to take. Now we are also able to select a starting location for our pirate stash. We haven't stashed anything yet, but we can designate a location on the board where our pirate stash will be. We don't have to do it now, but we're able to if we choose. And I think we will establish our pirate stash. I'm going to do that in the southern portion of Florida. We're going to place that pirate stash in location B. Now, anything that we place in the pirate stash is safe. It can't be captured or stolen from us. If we place things in our pirate haven, if we build one, that is susceptible to being raided by the pirate hunters. So it's the morning of Sunday, January 2nd, 1718, and our crew has fanatical loyalty and they're itching for a fight. And I think my initial strategy is going to be the following. We're going to set course on a southwesterly course. We're going to head through the Florida stream, and I think we're going to start patrolling off of the western edge of Cuba. There's 2 minor ports, Trinidad and Evangelista, in that area, along with Cayman. So those would be probably good hunting grounds for us. So our first step with setting out to sea is going to be to make a weather check. Now, I'm going to be using the alternative weather check table that will apply to table H1. And that adds the modifier -5 if January through May or December. And I believe that modifier is included to recognize the fact that the months of June through November are hurricane months. So the only modifier that we're going to be eligible for is -5 January through May. So we're going to need to make a D100 roll. And that's going to tell us the wind and weather conditions. So let's take care of that next. So we'll be rolling 2d10. The black will be the 10s, the white will be the singles. And we're going to be subtracting 5 from this roll. And we've rolled 100. Okay, 100 minus 5 is 95. That gives us the result of poor weather with moderate wind. Overcast with rain, moderate seas. All right, so we're going to mark that accordingly. We're going to mark it as poor weather and with moderate winds. Those will come into play as we travel across the board. Next, we consult table H4, and that says pirate ship movement. The pirate ship may now move into the next map zone or remain in the current one. Note, If maximum sail damage sustained, calm wind, or bad weather, the pirate ship must remain in its current zone this turn. So we are going to undock, and we're going to head out onto the high seas, and we're going to head southwest into Zone 3 in search of trophies. We're instructed to check tables H5, H6, and H7. First is H5, that's Pirate Crew Mutiny. And if our Pirate Crew loyalty was to reach 0, we'd have to roll a 1d10 once per day until it increases to 1, and we could have a possible mutiny. But that is not the case. We have a fanatical crew at present. Next is our random event roll. We're going to roll a D100 and consult the table. We'll have no random event on 1 to 97, but we will have a random event 98, 99, or 100. So here is the random event roll. And we've rolled an 84, so no random event. Next, we'll move on to H7, and that's enemy ship encounter. If calm wind or bad weather, no enemy ships. We're going to roll a 1d10, and if it's unmodified, if we roll an unmodified 10, an enemy ship encounter will occur no matter what. Otherwise, we're going to take the roll and we will modify it according to the modifiers listed. Modifiers include poor weather -1. Well, we have poor weather currently, so that's making our chances of spotting other ships more difficult. And that is the only modifier that is going to apply at this point. So we're going to be rolling a d10, and we have to subtract 1 from the roll. So in order for us to find something, we're going to need basically a result of 10. Here's the roll. And we've rolled a 1, so we have spotted nothing. No enemy ships. The current day ends, and the next day will begin. So we've completed 2nd of January. It's now the morning of the 3rd, and we will continue on with our travels. So consulting table H1, our modifiers will be -5 if January through May, and +5 if the previous weather was poor, and it was. So we're even right now, no modifiers. So we'll make our D100, there's no modifiers. The result is 57, and that says poor with light winds, overcast with rain, smooth seas. All right, so we've got poor with light winds. So our pirate ship now can move into the next map zone, or we could remain where we are. And I think we're going to continue with our westerly course through the Florida Straits, and we're going to move into Zone 2. Now we're going to make our roll for our random event, and we're looking for a 97 or greater. And we've rolled an 88. That's close, but not quite. And finally, we'll finish with an enemy ship encounter roll. Current modifier is -1 for poor weather. So we're basically going to need to roll a 10 in order to encounter something. Here is the roll. Results of 4, so we've spotted nothing, no enemy ships. That brings the day to a close, and we'll check off the 3rd of January, moving on to the 4th. So we'll begin the morning of the 4th with a weather check. Modifiers are -5 and +5. We'll make the D100 roll. And we've rolled a 59. A 59 is poor with light wind, overcast with rain, and smooth seas. So it does not change our weather or wind conditions. They remain the same as they were yesterday. We'll be able to continue with our movement, and I'm going to proceed, I think, on a northwesterly course, and we'll move into Area 1. We'll make our roll for a random event. And we've rolled 44, so there's no random event. And we'll see if we have an enemy ship encounter. Once again, we have poor weather, giving us a -1, so we need to get a 10. And we've rolled a 9. -1 is 8, and that's no enemy ship sighted. And that will complete Tuesday, January 4th, 1718. We'll move on to the 5th. So it is Wednesday, the 5th of January, and we're going to make our weather check. And since this game requires a lot of D100 rolls, I'm going to substitute in my 10-sided tens die, which will act for our tens, and then we don't have to worry necessarily about which D10 we grab. All right, we're going to make the roll. Our modifiers are going to be -5 for January and a +5 for previous weather was poor. So we are even. Here's the roll. Result is a 42. 42. We'll see what that is. 42 is good weather, moderate winds, clear to partly cloudy, moderate seas. All right, so we've got good weather and we've got moderate seas. That's great. And I'm going to chart a course south, and we're going to move to space 17. And once there, we'll perform our random event. Here's our random event roll. And we've rolled a 76. We have no random event. All right, next up is our enemy ship encounter roll. And we'll roll a d10. Now, the modifiers at -1 we were getting for poor weather no longer applies. We have good weather. So a 9 or a 10 will be sufficient to spot an enemy ship. Here's the roll. And we've rolled a 9. We've done it. We've spotted something. So we're going to make a roll on table H8. That's our combat rounds until darkness falls. Once darkness falls, contact is lost and all ship combat ends. We're going to roll a d10 and consult the table. So here is the roll. Roll's a 6. And checking that table, we have 6 rounds until darkness. So we'll mark that accordingly. So we'll use our ship combat rounds and we'll mark that at 6. And now we're supposed to consult table H9, and that's our enemy ship type and number. So we're going to be making a 2d10 roll to determine the type of ship that we encounter. And here's the roll. Okay, we get the summation of these two. That's a total of 15. And we'll check to see if there are any modifiers that apply. Our modifiers would be +1 for Captain Infamy, +1 if in Orange Town, +1 if July to September, and +2 if October to December, and +2 if a red zone. And these modifiers are commutative, so as it gets later in the game, we're going to have better and better chances of encountering warships. Right now, we have no modifiers. A 15 is a merchant ship. All right. And that says, if merchant, roll 2d10 to determine the type. All right, so we're going to do another 2d10 roll to determine the type of what we encounter. And our summation of those is a 4. We've rolled a 4. And that's revealed to be a merchant sloop. All right. There are no modifiers for this other than +1 if in a Spanish zone. All right. Well, that is not the case. We're instructed to go to step 3, and we get out our enemy merchant ship sheet. It says here, for enemy merchant ship captain, we're going to roll a d10 to determine his seamanship. Okay, here is the roll. The result is a 3. So checking the chart, a 3 3 or less is seamanship 1, so we'll mark his seamanship at 1. None of the modifiers apply, so we will move on to table I1. And our first step is I1, merchant ship surrender. We're going to roll a d10, and we will see if the ship will surrender without a shot being fired. If we roll an unmodified 1, the merchant ship will refuse to surrender. If we roll a modified 10, the ship will surrender. Otherwise, we're going to check it on the chart with the modifiers that are listed below. And the only modifier that's going to apply is +4 if merchant ship captain seamanship is skill of 1, and that's what he is. So we're going to roll a d10, and we will add +4 to that, and we'll see what happens. We've rolled a 1. 1 and 4 is 5, and that says merchant ship refuses to surrender. Go to table I2. So consulting I2, we are instructed to place our order of attack counters into a draw cup. So we will get a draw cup out, and we're to place in a pirate ship counter and a merchant ship counter. And that will tell us the priority order on which these ships will react. So we'll continue with setting up the enemy merchant display. He's going to have a total of 10 black powder, which we get from starting black powder for sloop. That's 10. He's going to have a merchant crew size of 2. His sails will be at 4, and his hull will be at 4 as well. Now we'll set up our combat display. We're going to be going against a merchant sloop. We'll place that in position 1, and our pirate merchant ship sloop will go in the pirate ship area. For convenience, I'm going to place our black powder tokens near the ships. He has 10 black powder, and so do we. So now we're going to draw our initiative token from the cup, and we'll see who has the fire priority. Mix that up and draw out our token. And the first firing ship is going to be the merchant ship. All right. So the merchant sloop is going to be firing at us. And obviously we are the target. Sloops can fire up to 2 shots per battle round. And the merchant ships will always fire their full amount. So he's going to fire a broadside at us, and that'll reduce his black powder from 10 down to 8. He's going to roll a d10 for each shot, so he'll be rolling 2 d10. The modifiers will be -1 if target sloop or schooner pirate ship. And that is the case, so we will be at a -1 result. Here is the roll for his shots. He's rolled a 6 and a 4, so those are going to be modified to a 5 and a 3. And both of his shots are misses. And it's our turn to respond. And we are also going to fire both of our available guns. That'll move our black powder down from 10 down to 8. And we will mark that accordingly. All right, now we're going to launch 2 shots, a broadside at him. Modifiers will be -1 if target sloop or schooner. So we're going to be reversing the order on these from firing and targeted. And here's our roll, -1. And we've got a 4 and a 0. So we have missed again. And now we can attempt to board the vessel. We'll remove the firing and targeted markers. And we're going to roll a d10. An unmodified roll of 1, our crew will fail to board. On a unmodified roll of 10, the merchant ship will be grappled and boarded. Otherwise, we're going to consult the table and apply the modifiers as listed. The merchant ship is going to gain a -3 modifier for it being a sloop, and -1 for the merchant captain seamanship skill point. So he's at -4 right now. We're going to gain +2 for our seamanship and +3 for our pirate sloop. So we are at +1 right now. So we're going to roll a d10 and we will see the effects. +1 of our attempt to grapple the enemy ship. We rolled a 2. That's modified to a 3, and that says no. Pirate ship crew fails to board the merchant. Go to I-12. I-12 is the merchant ship evasion attempt. The merchant ships will always attempt to evade. We're going to roll a d10. An unmodified 1, and the merchant ship will fail to evade. A unmodified 10, and the merchant ship will evade. Otherwise, we're going to consult the table and apply the modifiers as listed. This roll is going to be modified by -2 for the sloop, schooner, or frigate pirate ship. So we're at -2. We also have good weather that is an additional -2. We'll apply an additional -2 for our captain's seamanship, so we're at -6 right now. Merchant captain will be gaining 1 for his skill point, so we're at -5. And he will gain +2 because he is in a sloop. So we're at +3 for this evasion roll. And here is the roll. Roll is a 7. We're going to be at -3. That'll bring it down to 4, and it says no. Merchant ship fails to evade. Combat continues. And after checking for merchant ship evasion, it says go to table I-13, and that's end of combat round, surrendered ship. The current combat round has ended. If the merchant ship remains, the next combat round begins. Advance the combat round counter, and then go to table I-1. So we are going to advance our combat rounds from 6 to 5. There's 5 rounds of daylight remaining. So we return to I-1, merchant ship surrender. And we're going to make a surrender roll for the merchant ship. He's being pursued. Here is the roll. The result is a 4. We're going to apply the +4 for merchant captain seamanship skill of 1. That makes it an 8. And it says merchant ship refuses to surrender. Go to I-2. Step I-2, we are going to draw our initiative token. And we will see who has the first shot in this sequence. And we've got the pirate ship has the initiative. And we're going to launch an attack on him. So our pirate ship is going to fire. The target will be that sloop. And we'll spend 2 powder. That'll move us from 8 down to 6. And we will mark that accordingly. All right. Our dice rolls will be at a -1 modifier for target sloop or schooner merchant ship. Okay, here is our shots. There's the full broadside. And we rolled a 3 and a 6. Those are modified to 5 and 2, and both shots have missed. And so now the merchant ship will fire at us. He's going to use up 2 powder, moving him down to 6 powder remaining. And he will make his shots against us. His shots will also have a -1 modifier for target sloop pirate ship. Here's their shots. He's rolled a 6 and a 3. Those are modified to 5 and 2, and both of his shots have missed. So we'll remove our firing and targeted tokens. And I think we are going to attempt to board the vessel. We'll attempt to grapple it. Our grappling attempt is going to have a +1 modifier. And here is our roll. And we've rolled an 8. That'll be modified to a 9. And a 9, and that reads, yes, pirate ship crew successfully boards merchant ship. We read note A. It says, roll a d10 to determine the merchant captain's swordsmanship skill. So that will be the next. We're going to roll a d10 to see what the merchant captain's swordsmanship is. He rolled a 1, and that is a swordsmanship of 1, and we will mark that accordingly on the enemy merchant ship sheet. So he has a seamanship of 1 and swordsmanship of 1. So the merchant sloop has been boarded. And now we're going to consult table I-5, and we will resolve our boarding attempt. And that reads, pirate ship crews may attempt to board merchant ship and conduct hand-to-hand fighting if merchant ship refuses to surrender. Cannons may not fire during the boarding combat. Once boarding takes place, the two ships may not separate, and all hand-to-hand combat must be resolved. Ship boarding combat does not end once darkness falls. We're going to be rolling 2d10, and after rolling, we're going to consult I-6 to see if a surrender would occur. Right now, we're going to roll the 2d10 and apply modifiers as follows. -1 for the merchant captain's swordsmanship skill for each point. So he's at -1 right now. We're going to gain +1 for our pirate captain swordsmanship. Our swordsmanship is 2. So right now we have a +1 modifier. We'll be rolling 2d10 to resolve the battle. Here's the roll. 2d10, summation +1. We rolled a 10. That'll be modified to an 11. And we'll check the chart. And that says merchant captain wounded. We're going to roll a d10 to determine if it's a light wound, medium wound, or a severe wound, or if he is killed in action. All right. Very interesting. Here's the roll. The result is a 2. A 2 is going to be a light wound. So we will mark the enemy merchant captain with a light wound. Now we're instructed to consult table I-6, merchant crew surrender. We'll be rolling a d10 and applying any modifiers that would be applicable. Pirate captain killed in action or a severe wound. Merchant crew unit killed in action, or if pirate captain has a severe wound or is killed in action. None of those will apply. So we'll be making a d10 roll, and we will see if the merchant crew surrenders. Here's the roll. The result is a 1, and that says merchant crew continues to fight. Go to table I-5. So this is turning into a regular Donnybrook on board the two ships. So once again, we're going to be rolling 2d10, and we will be applying a +1 modifier. Now the enemy captain has a light wound. So we'll make the 2d10 roll and add +1. We've rolled a 19. That will be modified to a 20. And that reads 4 merchant crew units killed in action. All right. So our boys did a number on the merchant crew. That'll reduce them by 4 points. There's only 2 to start with, and that means the ship surrenders. With no crew, the lightly wounded enemy captain has no choice but to surrender. So that is a merchant surrender. And going through the notes, it says we're going to gain 800 XP if a sloop merchant ship has surrendered. So we're going to add 800 XP to our pirate captain sheet. We're also instructed to gain +1 Captain Infamy if it was a sloop, so our infamy level rises to 1. Then we go to table I7, Surrendered Merchant Ship Plunder Cargo. And first line reads, pirate ship may replenish its black powder stores with whatever black powder remains on the surrendered ship. So we will do so. And we're going to take 4 units of black powder from that merchant ship, and then we'll move him down to 1, and we would move ourselves back up to 10. Now, as this is a sloop, we're supposed to make 2 D100 rolls and consult the table below to see what the cargo of this vessel is. And here's our first cargo roll. The result is 80, and 80 is rum, and we're going to get 2 D10 worth of units of rum. The total of that is 10 and 7, 17 units of rum. So I'm going to be using this pirate ship cargo card to record what is all on board the ship. We know that we have 1 black powder left, so we'll mark that. And now we have 17 units of rum. We'll mark that. We have 1 roll left. And here's our second roll, second D100. The result is 35. A 35 is sugar, and there's going to be 2 units of sugar on board. We'll make that roll next. And that's a total of 6. So we've got 6 units of sugar. And we will write that down under sugar. Next, we're going to roll a D10 and consult table I9, and that is the surrendered merchant ship specialist crewmen aboard. Now, all of the merchant ship's crew have been killed, but these specialists would not have been fighting. So we still get the roll. And this will be a 1D10 roll, and there are no modifiers that will apply. So here is the roll. The result is a 4, and that says no specialists crewmen. Go to table I11. I11 is our surrendered merchant ship torture captain table. It says if he's severely wounded, the merchant ship captain may not be tortured. We're going to be rolling 2D10, doing a D100, and we can do that up to 3 times per surrendered ship. After rolling, we are going to go to table I13. Now, as we learned from the biography of Captain Elias Rathmore, he is not into torture for sport. However, if the enemy is doing anything dishonest, he will have no problem about executing judgment. Now, this captain and its crew fought nobly, so he is going to have up to 2 torture attempts with this captain. He will not attempt a 3rd, because that would kill the captain, and he will not do that. So we will take 2 torture attempts against this captain, and his methods of torture are more intimidation than actual torture. So we'll be making a D100 for the first torture attempt. The result is 59. And that is no town information or hidden valuables revealed. The merchant ship captain would automatically die after the 3rd session. So we're not going to go to a 3rd session. If he would have acted improperly, then I would have no problem about a 3rd round of torture for him. But he's acted honorably, so we'll do a 2nd round. And in this case, we get a +2 modifier for each torture session after the 1st. So we'll be adding +2 to this next roll. The result is 54. That's modified to a 56, and it says no town information or hidden valuables revealed. In this case, Captain Rathmore will cease any more further torture. Technically, by the game rules, we could do one more round, and that would kill the captain. So we're slightly more honorable than that, and that will end the torture session. We're supposed to go to table I-13. And that reads, once the merchant ship has either been captured, sunk, or successfully evades, the combat ends. Combat also automatically ends once darkness falls or the pirate ship chooses to evade at the end of a round. Once combat ends, go to H1. If the merchant ship surrenders, the pirate captain has several options. 1. Any remaining merchant ship captain and crewmen who aren't pressed into service may be executed. If executed, the merchant ship may either be burned, taken as a prize, or taken as a pirate ship, see below, or set free if adequate crew remains. But if the merchant ship surrendered the first round without a fight, and her captain and crew are executed, we would get a -2 pirate crew loyalty. Our crew would not be too happy with us in that case. Number 2, if taking the merchant as a prize, the ship is a sloop, schooner, brig, or flute, at least one main crew unit from the pirate ship must board and sail her back to either Nassau or the pirate haven. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to reduce our main crew size on our pirate ship down 1, and that crew is going to board the enemy merchant ship. And before our crew boards the merchant ship, we're going to transfer over all of the cargo that we have from the prize ship. We're going to take the 17 rum and we'll take the 6 sugar and add that to our stores. So we will get ourselves 6 sugar and 17 rum. We'll erase that from the ship. All that remains on board is 1 black powder, and we're going to take that as well. We're already filled to capacity for our normal black powder, but we can also place that black powder in our stores here on the ship that are specific for our pirate haven. And when we get a pirate haven, we can use the stored black powder for the purposes of supplying our cannons for defense. So we're going to fill out a prize ship 1 status card. Tells us the class of the ship. It's a sloop, has 4 sails and 4 hull, and then we're going to get a pirate ship sloop. That's a captured sloop. That's going to be put in Nassau. Our crew is going to sail back to Nassau ahead of us. It will arrive there before we do, and then we can attempt to sell any cargo or the vessel in Nassau. So we're going to place that token on Nassau. Our crew has made their way back to Nassau, sailing that captured ship, and we're going to put that into a docked position. And once we can return to Nassau, our captain can decide what to do with that vessel. And incidentally, as this is Pirate Ship 1, I should have been using the Pirate Ship 1 token, not the 2. So we'll place Pirate Ship 1 sloop in there under a dock condition, and the number 2 one we'll put back in the supply. So that ship number should match whatever the card is that we have created. And as for the merchant captain, I'm going to set him to sea in one of the longboats from the captured ship. We'll give him some food and give him a course direction towards Havana if he chooses to want to get there. That'll be the disposition of the enemy captain. And so our crew of the Resolute is still fanatical. They're very pleased with the capture of that enemy ship, not to mention the rum that it had on board. So bad part is our crew now is down to 1. It's bare minimum skeleton crew to crew our pirate ship. So I think we're going to have to set course back for Nassau and dispose of that captured ship. So that's going to bring January 5th to a close, and it is now Thursday, January 6th. 1718. And I believe we're going to order a course correction, and we're going to head north-northeast on a course back towards Nassau. And so we'll begin the morning of January 6th with a weather roll. Modifiers that will apply will be -5 if January through May, and another -5 for good weather. And we currently have good weather, so we're at -10. And we'll make our D100 roll -10. The result is 74. That's modified to a 64. And that is poor with light winds. All right, so we will adjust our weather, poor with light winds. We'll make our move on the map. We're going to set a north-northeast course into area 1. And now we'll make a D100 roll for our random event. The result is 46, no random event. And now we'll make a roll for an enemy ship encounter. We'll be rolling a D10, and we have currently poor weather, so we'll be at a -1 modifier, meaning we're going to need a 10 for an encounter. Result is a 9. That's modified to an 8, and we have no encounter. That will bring the turn to a close. So it's now the 7th of January, and we'll make our weather roll. This time we have poor weather, so we are going to be gaining a +5 for poor weather, -5 for January. So we are 0, no modifier. Our weather roll is a 63. That is poor with light winds, so no change in our weather conditions. We'll make our move on the map. We're going to move into the Florida stream, and now we will check for a random event. And we've got a 66, no random event. And we will check for an enemy ship encounter. We have poor weather, which is going to get us a -1. We'll need a 10 for success. We've rolled a 6. We see nothing. And we will continue on. That will finish January 7th. We'll move on to the 8th. And we'll start the morning of the 8th with a weather check. Previous weather was poor, so we'll be getting a +5 and a -5 for the January turn. So we have an unmodified D100. Here's the roll. The result is 15, and that is good with light winds. Clear to partly cloudy. So we have good weather with light winds. We'll make our move on the map, and we're going to head southeast into the Nicholas Channel. Now we'll make our random event roll. The result is 43, no random event, and we'll roll for an enemy ship encounter. This time we have no modifier, as the weather is good. The result is a 3 and no enemy ships. That completes Saturday the 8th of January. We'll move on to Sunday the 9th. We'll begin with our weather check. We're going to be getting a -5 because we have currently previous good weather, and another -5 for January, so it's -10. The result is 17. -10 is 7. That's good, but calm winds. So we have good weather, but calm winds, and calm winds aren't good. And that says under the notes, the pirate ship must remain in the current map zone this day. We can't attack any towns, land in longboats, or dock this day. If docked in Nassau, no effect. Okay, so that will finish up Sunday. We have no winds there. It's now Monday the 10th, and we will continue on with another weather check. And we will be getting a -5, -10 total modifier. The result is 50. That'll be modified to a 40, and that's going to be good with moderate wind. So we'll move our winds up to moderate, and we're able to finally travel. And we'll set a northeasterly course for Nassau. And we will make our random event roll. It's a D100 roll. We've rolled a 36, so there is no random event. And we can check to see if there is an enemy ship encounter. Now, as we are in the Nassau zone, I'm not sure if we're supposed to check for enemy ships there. That is a pirate haven. I'm going to check the rules to see if there's any notation on that. Well, consulting the rule book under Nassau, the Green Zone, it just says the Nassau Green Zone represents the infamous pirate town located on the Isle of New Providence. Towards the end of the paragraph, it says, once Nassau is raided and shut down by the Royal Navy, it may no longer be visited for its services for the remainder of the game. However, you may still sail through and patrol the space. So evidently, patrols are legal in Nassau. So we're going to make a D10 roll and determine if we sight anything in the area. In this case, we have good weather, so there'll be no modifier to this roll. The result is an 8. No enemy ships. The current day will end and the next day will begin. So we move on now to the 11th of January and we'll make our weather check. We can't enter the port directly. It takes a turn to sail into the location, and then once we're able to have movement during H4, pirate ship movement, it says if the pirate ship is entering Nassau, Pirate Haven, or any blue zone on the map, in order to dock or land in longboats, a full day is required to do so. So that's where this comes in. So we'll have to make our weather roll as we normally would. Previous weather was good, so we'll be gaining a -5 for that and a -5 for it being January. The result is 65. That's modified to a 55, and that's poor with light winds. So we'll set it for poor, light winds, and now we'll make our move on the map, and we're going to enter Port of Nassau. Now, reading a little further, before we actually dock in Nassau, it does say on bullet point 2 of H4, roll on tables H5, H6, and H7 first. So we're technically supposed to do that. H5 is the mutiny, check, there won't be one. H6 is our random event, so we're supposed to do a random event roll before we enter the pirate haven. Here's the roll. And we've rolled 47, so there's no random event. We can still search for an enemy ship, so we will do so. In this case, we have poor weather. It'll be -1. We'll be needing a 10. It's a 9. -1 is 8. No sighting. So now we officially enter the port of Nassau with our captured prize. One half of our crew sailed there, and they're waiting for us to arrive. And I think this is a good time for us to bring the video to a close. I'm going to continue this with part 2, and I will probably end up doing this more in an abbreviated fashion, because we still have a long ways to go. This is only the mid part of January. We have to go potentially all the way through to December. So what I'll probably do is when we return for part 2, we'll commence our actions that we would normally. And then once we finish with our operations in Nassau, I will move out of the port in search of new prizes, and then I will only come back on camera when we have something interesting or exciting to report. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying this playthrough as much as I am in bringing it to you. The ability of this game to tell stories is absolutely off the charts, and I have to give it an absolute thumbs up at this point. We'll see what happens as we play through, but for right now, this is definitely in the upper 9s to 10 range for me personally. So until next time, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club, wishing everyone a pleasant evening and a good night.